Matthew 16:4 reads, A wicked and adulterous generation seek after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is your brother Malak, and hopefully everyone is doing wonderful today. Now, the reason why I read that passage, family, because just like in the times of Yeshua HaMashiach, or who they call Jesus the Christ, Israel missed the time of his visitation, and there's also non-believers. Non-believers in who he was, and also not only who he was, but also those that were lost, the lost sheep of house of Israel. A lot of our people miss his visitation. So looking at the spiritual aspect of what's going on right now, in this time, the adulterous generation are missing the signs. They're going to miss the signs. And that's the resurrection of Israel. Just like he came and he was resurrected, we are being resurrected today. So I'm going to touch upon the things that I see, family. This is just what I see, and you may disagree. You may agree. But this is just what I see, and hopefully I can look at these three things that I really see, and hopefully they're going to make sense. So let's get into this. Number one, our people are looking for a resurrection, not knowing that there's a group of us, there's a lot of us that have come into the knowledge of who we are as a people, and we're coming back to the language. We're coming back to the culture. Not that language is the standard, but it helps. It helps break down the lies of Western ideology and Western culture, the Western mindset. It really gives a deeper understanding of Scripture. But anyway, but the main aspect is plugging back the people, plugging the people who the book was written for and written to, plugging them back into the book. The resurrection is going back, us coming, repenting and coming back to the covenant that the Most High gave to our ancestors. So there's a resurrection happening. There's people out there that don't believe and it don't matter and so on and so forth. But again, I'm not here to let anybody put value on not only what videos that I've put out there or who I am, but there's many other brothers and sisters that have put out videos, and again, there's all kind of information out there from outside sources that tell us that we're the people. So again, we not that we really needed those books to validate us, but again, the resurrection of Israel is happening. Whether people want to really agree with that or not, it really doesn't matter. Number two, the tribulation. People are looking for the tribulation to happen and not knowing that if we look at what our ancestors went through, 400 plus years of rape, murder, abuse, Jim Crow, hanging. I mean, the list goes on. And people will minimize the atrocities that our ancestors or my ancestors went through and look at with the so-called Jewish people, not to minimize them now, but so-called 6 million Jews, dealing with the atrocities that Hitler brought them through during World War II, which occurred, what about maybe 6-7 years? So we have 6 million Jews in 6 years of mistreatment versus 400 plus years. Because the reason why I keep saying plus is because we're still going through these atrocities even today. And experts will tell you, those that are really not trying to hide the information and really want to put the information out, you're looking at probably 100 million of our ancestors being taken away and put in captivity, and Most High knows how many died. Most High knows how many died. When we look at even our brothers and sisters on the Congo, in the Congo, on the west coast of Africa, you're looking at about another 90 million. Looking at about another 90 million. So how can people minimize that, what our ancestors have gone through, and have went through, versus 6 million Jews? And then again, how can you sit up there and talk about looking for a tribulation and not even put what happened, Salak, what happened to our ancestors? How can you not even take and consider that? Just imagine what they went through, having their children stolen from them and sold off into slavery, and children sold off, not even sold off slavery, but children kidnapped and taken and raped, or children used as alligator bait. The atrocities just go on. There's nothing in the scripture. There's nothing when you look at what our people went through with Egypt, with the Egyptian captivity. That can't compare the Assyrian captivity, the Medo-Persian captivity. This is the worst captivity of all, and how do people minimize that? So if you want to talk about a tribulation, how come that don't come across your mind? Again, an adulterous generation seek a sign, and they'll never see it, because you're not plugging the people who are the people into the book. Last but not least, the rapture. Even though the word rapture is not in the book, but let's go to the etymology or the etymology of the word rapture. And it's Middle English, and it means to seize. We see how our ancestors were seized, not only from the Middle Passage, even looking at the captivity dealing with the so-called Muslims. We look at how Romans laid siege under Jerusalem. Again, let's get another word. Not only seized, but kidnapped, carried away. Our people was actually carried away and kidnapped from their land. These things actually happen, and people are looking for these things to happen. And again, if you don't plug the people, who the book was written about and written to, if you don't plug them back into the book, you're going to miss out on the signs. Again, this is just what I see. Family. So again, it's not to beat up on our people in mainstream religion. That's where they're at. But again, to say it doesn't matter, or that's your interpretation, because you cannot articulate, or you don't have the information or the sources to back up or to legitimize or justify your belief. Because a belief is an action, but to back up your word, to back up what you say. When we have many brothers and sisters out there that have put the information, the time, the sources out there, and those sources are not a whole bunch of Negroes that just wrote books yesterday. There's books that been dated as far as the 13th and 14th century, the 15th, 16th century, that have put this information out there. So it becomes not my feeling, not my view, not my opinion, but this is what the sources, this is what the biblical scholars have said. This is what the historians of that era have said. This is what the book said. This is the prophetic nature of the book, the Bible itself. Who fits the identity? Who fits, the curses? Who fit the physical description? So it comes a time where it's beyond your feeling, your belief, but this is actually the word of the Most High being manifested. And you're looking for a sign, and the book is telling you who the people are. But anyway, family, I just want to share that. Hopefully it makes sense. Again, leave your comments. Just keep them respectful if you disagree. And as usual, with that being said, peace, love, shalom.